Hello everybody and welcome to another video. My name is Tom from 6 Foot Networks and thank you for joining me. Today I wanted to do the video that I've been asking for a few weeks. Literally I went on Instagram and Facebook a couple weeks back and I put out kind of a campaign notice, so to say, that I wanted to do kind of an AMA style video, in that I thought you guys could submit questions, comments, concerns, things that, you guys wanted answered. Send it over to us and, we'd go through and answer them. So here's the part that kicked us in the head. We didn't think that we were going to get hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of emails, responses, and posts with regards to this particular topic. So I didn't think that an AMA would be particularly huge with our community, being that it's relatively small, and I'm typically transparent about all the things we do. But you know what? Out of all those hundreds of submissions that we got, I wrote down 10 of them, and I'm just going to answer them. These were kind of randomly chosen between us, and I figured we would just keep the others maybe for a part 2 video later on down the road, and maybe we'll do these more often. But for now, let's get to it. So number 1, what is the size of 6 Foot Networks? This question to me is kind of like the size. I'm going to answer it this way. Square footage, we sit on 7,600 square feet of land. That's about it. The office is slightly smaller, and you're seeing my office here in the video, but that's probably a good way to answer that one, and you'll see why. Number 3 is actually the reason why I answered number 1 this way. Number 2, where is 6 Foot Networks located? 6 Foot Networks is located in northern Los Angeles in Santa Clarita Valley. We're actually on the border of Castaic and Valencia, right off the 5 freeway. So that's that. Number 3, and here's the reason why I answered number 1 the way I did. How many staff do you have? So I figured size would be physical, and then quantity of staff would be how big we are in terms of personnel. In terms of staff, how many staff do you have, and are you hiring? There's 3 full-timers with 6 Foot Networks, myself included, and most of our contingent personnel are just that: contractors, consultants, people we partner with for projects, day laborers, that kind of thing, where we reach out online and we try to get gig-based work taken care of. Are we hiring? At the moment, we're always looking for engineers, developers, web developers, iOS developers, so on and so forth. In that, when the need comes, we got to be able to fulfill those needs. But if you're asking about full time, no. Due to the pandemic, we've scaled back pretty largely. Number 4, where are your clients and sites located? Most of our clients are located in the Los Angeles area. We do have some out of state, even on the East Coast, and we have one that's actually in Europe. By the way, to add to that, we're multilingual. I myself speak 3 languages fluently. My wife speaks 2 languages fluently. So we can pretty much handle at least 5 languages combined, if not more. I do have more languages in my family, so if I needed it, I could always get more. Probably upwards of 7 or 8 fluent languages in our family alone. Number 5. Oh wait, number 4 still has where are our sites located. We do have cloud-based data center services that we host, maintain, manage. And most of those are geographically separated, although primarily For the West Coast, we deal out of Northern California, and I do have a data center in Atlanta for backup and disaster recovery, and one as a cumulative failover site in Europe. Number 5, you sold the big diesel. What's your new ride? First of all, this one came off my personal Instagram feed, so for that, I thank you, whoever sent that in. I did recently sell my 2012 Volkswagen Jetta TDI turbo diesel car that I had. It was a bittersweet goodbye, but it was time to go. The car was aging. It's very hard to service diesels. You can't just take it into any old shop and get it serviced. You need kind of a qualified diesel mechanic, and they tend to be more expensive. Parts for these cars tend to be more expensive, and it was just time. As far as what my new ride is, in November of 2020, I bought a 2020 model Chevy Bolt EV. It is a Bolt with a B, as in boy, not a Chevy Volt, as in V-O-L-T. It is a pure electric vehicle. A lot of research went into what the next car was going to be, and because we did a full solar blowout on our house, and we had the available capacity to have a vehicle that requires charging, daily charging, so to say, that we essentially drive a car where its fuel is free. It's charged during the day when the sun's out. And here in California, I'd say we have about 345 days per year of huge sun. So yeah, that's number 5. Number 6, how have you been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, both personally and professionally? Wow, this one's a toughie. Professionally, obviously, we've scaled back. A lot more of my work has been done here. I haven't ventured into the office much. In fact, this became my full-time office almost 10 months ago when this whole thing started. That's why it's set up this way. I made sure that all of my gear was in here, any repairs that I needed to do, any remote control access, site-to-site VPNs, all that stuff I established from here, and essentially used the other office as a storage facility, so to say. So that's that. Personally, we've had several family members be severely affected by COVID. There's nothing easy to say about it. I mean, we've all had our heartbreaks, and lots of people lost loved ones and family members and friends, and there's nothing about this that's really easy to say. I will say that it has forced us into a new train of thought. I think it evolved the industry, not just our industry, but a lot of verticals that, the way they do business has essentially been shaken up. People can't go to work. There's a lockdown in place. In other words, the stay-at-home orders that came from the various governors, especially here in California. And, if there's one thing that positive that came out of it is I have my wife and son within 100 feet of me most of the day, which is great. I mean, 99% of the time, it's the most wonderful thing ever, to be close to them and watch my son grow. And, he's 7.5 now. And when this started, he was just about to be 7. He was still 6 at the time. Different grade. I got to watch him start the school year, and I'm here every day to help him with his schoolwork. There's a blessing, there's a silver lining to it for me. I know most people don't see it that way, and I think it helped me become a better father. I think in some ways it may have helped me become a better husband. I don't know. I feel like it's affected everybody around me, and thus it forced me to change the way I do things, both personally and professionally. I think that about answers that one. Number 7, how tall are you? You seem really tall in your videos. And does your company name speak to that height? I got it, 6 Foot Networks. Okay, so I am 6 foot 5 inches tall, just under 2 meters, or right around 2 meters tall. The company was essentially started by 3 great minds, myself included. So yes, I'm touting my own horn. My wife, my brother, and I. Essentially, my wife was the push that got me to go. She always told me, she's like, why don't you do your own thing? Go do it. Go take care of it. You do it best. You do it, the way you do things is, solid, cost-effective, the works. And she essentially kind of pushed me into the whole idea of owning my own small business. So between her and I, that's 2 people. My brother, who lives in the Nashville area of Tennessee, he got us our first real paying gig after we formed the company, and we were trying off and on before the company originally formed. We were trading under my name, essentially, for tax purposes and the whole legal thing. And then once things got a little bit more extensive, we started doing a lot more work. I formally filed the Articles of Incorporation on January 1st, 2010. That's when the state received them and stamped them. So officially, that was our starting date, January 1st, 2010. So does your company name speak to that? So 6 foot, 3 people, 2 feet each, 2 times 3, 6 feet. So 6 Foot Networks, I'm a network engineer by education, and most of my career has been somehow involved with network engineering, architecture, design, development, data centers, microwave to ground communications. There's a lot of other stuff that I've done. Minored in software, scripting. There's a lot. So 3 people were officially part of the start of the company. My brother, like I said, I will forever be thankful for him. It's like that first, $10 or $20 bill that small businesses like restaurants or something. It's a tradition that the first sale they make, they take that bill and they frame it and they put it up on the wall. Well, in my case, I just included it in the name of the company because 4 Foot Networks was kind of silly. 6 Foot Networks just seemed to make a little bit more sense, and it kind of stuck. So that's number 7. Number 8, in following your personal Instagram feeds. Wow. Okay. I can't say thank you enough for that. This came from my personal Instagram. In following your personal Instagram feeds, we see you've lost a ton of weight. Thank you. Congratulations on that. It's a huge accomplishment. You haven't posted a weight update recently, however. Are things still working out for you the way you had hoped? Wow. I'm still kind of floored by the fact that there's some members of our community that follow me on my personal Instagram, which is great. Again, thank you. To make this answer as concise as possible, I have been on a goal since the start of pandemic in March of 2020 to lose 104.6 pounds by February 15th of 2021, which is literally like 10 days away. 11 days away. Unfortunately, I will not meet my goal. I've lost, I want to say, 87% of that. So I've lost a lot of weight, and I've kept it off, and I feel great. I do a lot more activity-wise, in terms of running. I haven't been able to run a mile since I was in middle school. I think I ran, there was some kind of annual testing that they used to do, physical testing that they used to do in Pennsylvania, and you had to run a mile as part of it. And that was, what, 6th, 7th grade? So when I started running in September of 2020, I ran my first mile after trying and failing and running out of breath and getting dizzy and all that stuff. It was just hard. But in time, I actually got enough conditioning to do a mile, and then I ran that same mile, that same loop in our neighborhood here. I must have ran it 7 or 8 times in a row. I was so excited. And then finally, once I got to a point where I wasn't even sweating to do that, and it was warm, it was hot, it was fall, it was, end of summer, and it was still hot here. I got to the point where I was able to do 2 miles. At some point I did 3 miles, and I think I haven't done more than 3.2, I think was the furthest I went running wise. And I don't think I can do any more just because of my back. I have a bad back. My knees are shot. There's a whole lot of stuff that comes from, well, A, being as massively tall as I am, and then B, being overweight for 85% of your life. So I went from 344.6 pounds at my heaviest. And if you look back at some of our videos from earlier in the channel, you'll see, you can clearly tell that my face is different. And in fact, every few weeks or so I would have to redo Face ID on my phone because it just wouldn't recognize me after a certain point. It would just tell me that my biometrics were just incorrect, and I would have to do the whole reprogramming and reteaching thing again. So now, why haven't I done an update recently? Well, like I mentioned, I've hit a plateau right around November, I think it was like November 8th or 9th, where my weight you can see the weight curve just flattened out. And now, whenever I do step on a scale, it's like up a little bit, down, up, down, and I always cross 0. So it's that whole cosine of x, wave that you see. And I felt like it was just getting boring because it was around the same numbers, nothing was changing, and you could see the historical chart was just a bad heartbeat. So yeah, once I break through the plateau, I've also said that I'm not going to meet my goal of February 15th, which is what my birthday is. And long story short, I need time. I kind of ran into it kind of hastily, and I just need more time. So will I post more? Absolutely. Just keep following my feed. Thank you again for that, by the way, for following my personal Instagram. Number 9. Are we on 9? Yes, we are. Number 9. Do you take special requests for the videos you create? Absolutely. In fact, I think all but 4 or 5 of them are special requests. People I work with, people that actually I do get random emails about things, and I end up pointing them to our channel. But if it's a common, topic, then I will do a video about it. So yeah, please send us your special requests. Bless you. My dog just sneezed. Number 10. How do you see your company recovering post-pandemic? You've mentioned before online that things would never be the same again, in quotes. Do you have hope in a recovery of your business? First things first, I have mentioned several times that things would never be the same again, and I think it goes back to the whole idea of why would they? We've came this far as a society, as a planet, as the human race evolved through the pandemic. The way we think, the way we do things, the way we understand things, there's no reason for it to ever go back to what it was, because I feel like that would reintroduce previous ignorance back into a society that has been, split down the middle, in so many ways, health-wise and otherwise. So I don't think things could ever be the same again, but that doesn't mean that, they're going to be all bad and broken. We've recovered, we've overcome, we have stood shoulder pressed to shoulder. We've gotten through things that were just as horrific, if not worse, in the past. Just look at the history books. I think that all in all, I think only time can tell. But, as far as the recovery of our business, we've modified the way we do things. We've made ourselves a little bit more knowledgeable about the state of the world and how things are being handled, and we're following carefully the whole political part of this. And even though I'm not political per se, I know that there's a lot of decisions being made solely on that. So I think recovery of anybody's business is ultimately going to just take time, but I don't think it'll ever go back to what it was before. And a lot of people have lost their businesses, have lost their livelihood, and it's heartbreaking to even think about it. But fortunately for us, all of our clients are still in business. Even though they had to make changes, they had projects that they wanted to do that they've obviously canceled. Large expenditures were capped. Budgets were just, somebody threw a grenade at them. Budgets didn't exist for a good 6 months. But, we did what we could to take care of our people. Even though there were times when our clients didn't know what they were going to do, they were tossing around the idea of shuttering their doors and giving up and just letting everything fall to the ashes. We stuck by them. We still supported them, even though they may have not been able to pay our invoices. I didn't send them nasty, threatening letters, legal forms that threatened to, shut their systems down if they didn't pay. I don't do stuff like that anyway. I will go as far as I can go. And so far, to date, I have not broken my own, that barrier where you can't go any further, where once you start crossing into that zone, you're essentially hurting your own business, your own company. If it's something that I can sit down in this chair, remote control from this machine here, and quickly either adjust or fix, then, I will do what I can. Obviously, it'll be done in a way that is not conventional. It may be a band-aid, a stopgap measure, but at the same time, we have to take care of each other. This is one of those times where, it doesn't matter who you are, what side of the rope you're standing on politically or whatnot, Republican, Democrat, it doesn't matter. You have to come together, and you have to understand that you have to help your neighbor where possible. And I think that that's really the only thing that I can say to that. I don't think there's any sense in beating a dead horse here. But things will definitely never be the same again, and I just hope that our posterity, in 10 years, my kid's going to be voting. It's hard to, it's hard to grasp that right now, but 10 years is not that far away. It's, they say the older you get, the faster time moves. I still sometimes see him as a 2-year-old, 3-year-old. So, when he votes, he's going to be the next, he's going to be part of that line of people that's going to start making decisions for their generation. And I hope to God that there's still an earth here, that there's still a society here, that there's still a cultural, oasis, so to say, that you can reflect upon. And the knowledge, the historical knowledge that will allow them to form the decisions that they need to never, never under God repeat the mistakes that were made, even as, 2020. 2020 was a gross mistake in so many ways, and we all know that. And this video is not to argue that. It's not here to argue that at all. But there was a lot of lives lost. There was a crisis that was mismanaged. The economy, well, it tanked. Small businesses disappeared. I was having a conversation with my wife about a restaurant that had just opened in January of 2020. Well, guess what? They were gone by April. It's so heartbreaking to know that, somebody opened up a restaurant, tried to do something, and then they didn't even make it 4 months. Yeah. In fact, maybe I should change that things would never be the same again to things should never be the same again. We should always strive to be better than what we were. We should always stick together, and we should help each other recover. I certainly appreciate all of you who have taken the time out of their day to watch these videos. You guys support the channel. It allows us to do these videos, and we're so glad that you decided to stick around. Please like and subscribe if you know. We couldn't do this without you. So thank you very much for watching. Until next time.